Hi, friends. So, this week we're going to be doing more mini squishies. If you've never seen this series before, or you forgot, a while back I bought what I thought were 3 different sets of cute little assorted mini squishies. It turned out that they were all the same. I got had by the squishy industrial complex. So now I have many versions of each squishy. So I've been making over sets of them so that each one is different, but they still fit in a set. And these are the ones that I've chosen for this week. 6 little unicorn squishies. As you can see, they're all a little different. One of these purple ones isn't a match, and none of the blue ones match any others exactly. There are 3 different shapes of ears. Some are kind of straight up and pointy, these look like devil horns, and these are more rounded. There's 3 different styles of hair on the back, one that's really beautiful and luscious, one that's just printed on, and this one that looks like a grub. We've also got 3 different tail styles. There's a long pronounced one, a small little button one, and one that sticks out really far like a nipple. One other difference that you probably can't see that well is some of their arms have a little hoof hand thing on the end of them. And on top of all of that, the paint jobs are atrocious. There's just a lot going on with these guys. Either way, let's get into making these over. So first, we gotta prep these. I'm gonna start by sanding them down just to kind of rough them up a little bit so that the fabric paint will stick. Then I'm gonna go in and trim some of the seams. Wait, why is this sticky? What the heck did I cut? Anyway, I'm trying to be sort of reserved when I'm trimming down the seams. I don't want to get carried away trying to get it perfectly flat and then accidentally cut too much and have to fix it. Because that has happened. No, this time I'm going to let them have a little bit of line left. I can be accepting of imperfections. Probably. I'm also going to be a teeny bit more ambitious on these tiny things and trim off these little hoof things on this guy, the tail on this gal, and the weird bug hair on this guy. Sanding did sort of chew up a few of the smaller parts, like this guy's ear, so hopefully painting over that will fix it. And speaking of painting over it, I'm going to use some puffy paint to paint over and seal where I cut their appendages off, and to cover a few of the more aggressively sanded areas. I tried going over these areas with lots of coats to really smooth them out, because puffy paint will fill in the unevenness, but eventually I ran out of time and had to move on. So a few of these friends are gonna have a bit of cellulite. Welcome to the club. I used matte fabric paint to give all of them a nice white base coat. Puffy paint fills in areas, but matte fabric paint is nice and opaque, so it only took 2 layers to cover. Now let's get to decorating these. In this first one, we're going to start with a light pink base coat. Wait, white was the base coat. What comes after base? Foundation? Is this the foundation coat? Focus, Rose. Whatever this coat is, it's darker than I wanted, so I lightened it. Oh yeah, that looks better. Then let's paint in some inner ears and a dark pink snout. Yes, this gal is going to be a pig. We'll give her some teeny tiny front hooves and some vaguely heart-shaped back hooves. I'm going to add some rosy cheeks and actually try to remember to do them on all of these this time. Then I'll flip her over like a pancake and paint the backside. The back is going to be kind of boring, except for a little swirly tail. Now, before we deal with her face, because I'm putting that off as long as possible, I'm going to paint over her horn with a coat of matte white paint to kind of make it easier to go over later. Then I need to do something about this weird flesh donut around her head. So we're just going to turn it into a flower crown. The flowers aren't perfect, or really even mediocre, but all they really need to do is take up space and distract your eye away from that weird bump, which I think they do. So now we can paint this horn with iridescent teal fabric paint. And that's gonna take about 5,000 coats. Okay, well, it actually took six coats, not 6,000, but now I can put it off no longer. I'm gonna paint in her sweet little face. I mean, she looks happy, right? She doesn't have a mouth, but she's smiling with her eyes. Ah, she's so cute. Okay, what's her name? I gotta start remembering to name my creations. She is Deborah. No idea where that came from, but I looked at her and she's a Deborah. Alright, next we have this guy. He's looking pretty rough here in the midsection from the puffy paint that I used to go over some of those areas where he got exfoliated a little bit too much. Hopefully, the mix of puffy and matte paint together in this light blue foundation coat will help smooth him out a bit. Now, this one is going to be a squirrel. Yes, all of these are going to have species changes. And I spent a long time looking at references and doing sketches trying to figure out how to make this look like a squirrel. He's kind of looking like a penguin so far. You are not a penguin. Stop thinking penguin thoughts. Oh no. I'm sorry. Come back. I love that I painted all of him light blue just for this little part to show. Well, now with the ears, he looks like an owl. You're not a bird. I think part of the species confusion might be because he's blue. But he has to be blue because there are 6 squishies. So you know I have to do a rainbow. It's the law. Alright, let's give this guy some rosy cheeks. Stop rolling away. For his little feet, I'm going to mix up some dark blue matte and puffy fabric paint on my palette because I ran out of little jars. He's going to get some tiny little baby hand things. Even though squirrels don't have different colored hands, he does. He's wearing mittens. And some toe beans. And then some stripes on his forehead. Because I looked up squirrel squishmallows to see how they made a bean look like a squirrel. And they had little stripes. And that seemed to work. Then this mound on his head is going to be the same dark blue. It's like a hat to match his mittens. Listen, none of this guy makes sense. I painted the back of his hat before the paint could dry on the palette, and then for the rest of the back of him, he's just going to be that middle dark blue. He's the same shape of squishy as the pig, so he also has this little button tail. But a squirrel needs a long tail. Otherwise, they're a prairie dog. So he's going to get a dark blue tail painted on. And again, it doesn't make sense that it would be darker than the rest of him, but I mean, how else are you going to know that it's there? I'm going to put off his face a little longer to paint the horn first. And since I have 6 different iridescent fabric paints, I decided to do a different color on each horn. And this one is a black iridescent, which is not my favorite, but I set a weird arbitrary rule for myself, and I'm going to stick to it. After many coats of that, it's time for a face. That will hopefully make him look more squirrely. Okay, not bad. How about some whisker dots? Probably should have put them further out, but I don't feel like painting over it to move them. Some big old eyes, and some eye shinies to make him look less terrifying. I kind of like this little guy. I mean, he went through a lot, but he came out pretty cute. I mean, not that black horn, but maybe he's going through his emo phase. His name is Stanley. What? Okay, Stanley it is. Moving on, and this one is going to be purple. A nice light purple that might take a few coats, which is fine because maybe that will cover up some of this mess in the center. This is the squishy that I cut the little hoof hand things off of. And this little gal is going to be kind of difficult because this one is going to be a husky. So she needs those very distinctive markings that Huskies have. But I also didn't want to try to go over dark purple with light purple, so I'm trying to basically paint around the markings and leave them in the negative space. Ugh, she's looking so bad. She does get a little better, but not for a while. After a few coats to fill that dark purple in, she's not looking great, so I'm going to try to make some adjustments. Starting with trying to fuzzify the edges of her markings. Maybe that will make her look less like some kind of bandit. And her horn bump thing, well, we're just going to ignore it completely, so I'll paint that dark. I'll try to make her eye markings smaller and fuzzier, and I'll try to make this beard thing fuzzier on the ends too. Then, since I completely forgot that she needed lighter colored paws, I'll paint on some mittens and boots in that light purple and go over that about 3 times. She's looking somewhat better, so I can finally get to adding her inner ears and a tongue. It's just sort of floating there for now. I painted blue circles, which will be the irises of her husky eyes, but she's just going to look extra crazy for a while. For the back of her, we're just going to go with all dark purple. And then for a tail, huskies have like darker tails with a lighter end, but I wasn't sure how to paint a dark tail on a dark body, and I didn't want to mix up an even darker purple, so I just painted the entire tail a lighter purple. Maybe she's some kind of mix. For her horn, I used white iridescent paint. Pretty boring. Then let's add her face, which will hopefully make her look more like a husky. Because right now, I don't like her. Okay, that's actually helping. Let's go for the highlights. Okay, cute. Also, I noticed during editing that I never added the toe beans, so I added those off camera. And, she's okay, I guess. I mean, I think she mostly looks like a husky, but I made so many mistakes and alterations that she's really lumpy looking. Oh well. Her name is Lola. Names are just popping right into my head today. Next, let's move on to this guy with some luscious locks. And he's gonna be green. Except, why am I painting the back of him first? Ding dong. Let's let that dry, and now we can paint the front of this guy, which is what I meant to do in the first place. Then let's paint some stripes in a slightly darker green, and I bet you're never gonna guess what he's gonna be. He's a zebra. And while I'm pretty nervous about the placement of stripes, he is looking like a zebra to me. So we're already ahead of the last 2. Then he needs a dark green snout, and that definitely makes him look more like a zebra. He'll get some dark green hooves on the front, and then those same sort of heart-like hooves that the pig had on the back. I love those so much. For his lifesaver floating on his head, since he has such a beautiful mane on the back, this can just all be hair. He's looking so amazing already. Let me add some pink inner ears and some rosy cheeks. And no, I didn't forget to do the cheeks on the husky. I actually remembered, but I thought she already had way too much going on and I didn't want to add more to her face. Now finally, we can go back to the back of this guy and add a second coat to that light green. Then continue the stripes on the back. And I need to toot my own horn for a second and say how natural and zebra-y those stripes look, considering I didn't do any planning. Go me. The tail, well, he's got this weird pimple shape, so I just added a couple of stripes on the bottom, and then I'll add a tuft of hair like the tip of the tail. So let's paint this mane dark green, and then add that tiny tail tuft. Now for his horn, it's going to be pink, which you can barely see. And a bunch of coats later, actually the last coat is still wet, let's add a face. I really gotta figure out an eye shape other than giant abyss. But I will branch out and try a different eye highlight style. Oh, I love him so much. Why is he so cute? His name is Stuart. No, that's too close to Stanley. Sheldon. Stop with the S names. How about Wesley? Sure. Okay. Next, we have this one that I cut the tail off of. And this one is going to be light yellow to start. Then I'm going to add some stripes again in a yellow that you can barely see. But this is going to be a cat. Even though she looks exactly like the zebra right now, I swear she's a cat. I'll do less stripes on the front of her so she's different, and maybe after 4 coats you'll be able to see them. Well, kinda. Now, to further differentiate this cat, I'm going to give her a white muzzle and a white belly. I thought about giving her little mittens, but I was afraid that it would blend into her tummy. Then she needs some pink inner ears. I have never scrutinized an inner ear more than when I'm trying to paint 6 different species on essentially the same shape. It's like if I find the perfect inner ear shape, it's going to immediately say cat. She'll get some pink toe beans and some rosy cheeks, which is something else that I'm proud of. Like, look at how cute and rosy they look, and not at all like unblended blush. The back is just going to be light yellow with some stripes that continue around the side, very unsymmetrically. And here I realized I could have just left that little nipple tail and she could have been a bobtail cat. Or I could have made it a lion to explain why it has a mane. Ugh. You know, for as much as I overthink things, it's astounding how much I don't think of until after the fact. This girl is going to get the most barely there purple horn ever. And I'm pretty terrified to paint this face because I did a whole set of cat squishies and almost none of them look like cats. So I'm going to start with tiny eyes. Well, not tiny, but not giant doorways to the underworld. Then a tiny mouth and very carefully placed dainty whiskers. Seriously, hold your breath. Whew, not perfect, but way better than I expected them to be. I'm going to give her a tiny little pink nose, like the cattiest of all cat noses. It looks like a cat. Yes. Oh yeah, highlights. Woohoo! I love her. Cat face redemption for Rose. Her name is... Okay, well, my naming mojo is fading because all I can think of is Whiskers. Okay, fine. Whiskers it is. Alright, now, this last one is the one that I cut the hair off of. And for him, I'm going to start with this orange. But not really, because that was too dark, so I lightened it. I swear, I lightened it. As I'm painting him, let's see if you can guess what he's going to be. He gets some dark orange inner ears, and then this dark orange thingy right here, and another dark orange thingy here. His arms are going to be dark orange, and so are his legs. Then we're going to add a white muzzle. I bet you know what this is by now. Yeah, this is a red panda. Well, an orange panda, but he's already so cute. He needs some little white eyebrows, and white outlines on his ears, and a white tummy patch. He's not going to get rosy cheeks because I don't want to cover up his cute little markings. Now, the back of him is looking pretty rough, but we're going light orange all over first. Then the backs of his ears are a darker orange. Yes, I did have to Google back of a red panda. Then for the tail, since the tail is still 3D, I felt okay adding some dark orange stripes and the tail actually still looking like a tail. For his horn, I'm going to do blue because that's the only color left. For his face, I wanted to do a kind of mischievous expression with like a winking eye and a crooked smile, but I couldn't get it to look right in my sketches, so giant eyes it is. Being very slow and cautious with his mouth. And then, since I couldn't do a different eye shape, I tried a different eye shiny in the shape of a heart. What do we think of those? Alright, I love this guy so much. He's so cute. I just want to squish him, which I can. His name is Jeremy. I don't know, man. It just is. Alright, that's all my mini unicorn squishies. Here they are in rainbow order. And here they are in order of my favorite to least favorite. And for no reason at all, here they are in alphabetical order. Besides the horns, which A, don't even look like horns, they look like a weird pen tip glued on top. 2, the colors make no sense. I could have matched the color of the horn to the animal for 4 of them, but then either the cat or the red panda would have had a black horn, so I tried for like contrasting colors, but now they all kind of look like butt. But the animals themselves are so cute. Well, not you, but not everyone needs to bring looks to the table. You bring a psychotic enthusiasm. So, what do you think? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.